Keith Greg with Top MMA News here with Mark Pavelich, President, Owner, Maximum Fighting Championships. Mark, good to see you here.
Yeah, very excited.
So you got a big show coming up June 10th in Edmonton. You're just coming back off a very successful show in Ontario, Windsor. Why are you coming back to Edmonton?
Well, our major fan base is there. You know, it's that's where the majority of our fan base is still. And we're coming back there, and then I believe that will be either in this area come September or back in Ontario come September. We'll decide in the next week or so.
Yeah, and some great fights on the card. We have Pete Spratt, who's been on the MFC a number of times, coming off a win with, from Demi Deeds.
That's right.
Fighting Marcus Davis, who had a really whale of a fight against Curtis DeMars. Why don't you talk about that fight?
Well, you know, it's funny because I started to realize that after a while, it's not so much me what I want anymore. It's you know, fans, they email me and they're like, Mark, you know, we'd love to see that fight because apparently Pete Spratt fought Marcus Davis back in the day, and then people were saying that, you know, Spratt was putting it on Marcus Davis. So I said, you know, I'll talk Marcus Davis into coming back to 170 to do the fight against Spratt as for the rematch, but in the MFC. And you know, after some coaxing to Marcus Davis, he agreed, and we have that fight. And you know, it's crazy because I've received so many phone calls, emails on that actual fight, and that once again gives me the idea that most people, it's great, they love this brand of MMA or they love that brand of MMA, but they want to see great fights, and that's what they're going to see with Spratt and Marcus Davis.
Another interesting fight is you have Fickett, who just beat Matt Veach on your card. Fighting newcomer Brian Cobb, and Brian Cobb's, you know, number of wins, former UFC guy, coming from Tachi Palace, I believe. You know, that's another intriguing fight.
I like Cobb because I don't think he's branded with any one organization, and that's what I was looking for. In most rankings, he's in the top 20 in the world, top 20, top 25, and it's weird because I believe Drew Fickett right now at the level he's at, he is definitely a top 10 155er. That's my opinion, right? And I'm telling you that most people will stay away from him as much as possible because his level right now, after what he just did to Veach in 30 seconds in the 2 MFCs ago, was incredible. Like Veach is a very good fighter, and he made him look so bad.
Yeah, it was very bad. I actually predicted Veach was going to, you know, take it.
A lot of people did.
And you know, and I didn't take too much out of his win of that one-day tournament.
I saw potential in the one-day tournament, but I didn't think that that was going to be the end-all of end-all for Drew, right? I still think he has a long way to go, but what a cool story it'll be when it's over.
Yeah, and so this one was going to be for a title. You know, why don't we talk about the title situation right now? Sure. You got, you know, Antonio McKee, who you've let go, at least Antonio's saying that, and Douglas Lima, who's left the organization.
Yeah, that was my fault. I mean, the Douglas Lima one was 100% my fault. I left him open-ended on his contract, which is a very big rarity that I do. I never do that in 11 years. I had a kind of an agreement with his manager at the time, and I was under the impression that, you know, where else would they go, right? And that was my fault. That was a, you know, very amateurish move on my. Listen, man, our organization's too big to be doing the let's shake hands and, you know, that kind of thing. So we have to do everything like, you know, it's a shame because I do business with lots of people that way, and, you know, my word actually means something in the mixed martial art business. And you know, it didn't work out with Lima's manager the right way, so I got mad and signed his brother Diego instead for now. And like I said, Douglas will find out that it probably wasn't the best move for him down the road, but you know, what do you want me to say? You know, like the organization he signed with, I'm not a big fan of. I never watched it. I never watched one fight in their organization, and I pretty much will watch any type of fighting.
Yeah. And how with the lightweight? Like you had Fickett and McKee lined up for your last show.
Yeah.
That fell through because of injury.
Yes.
You know, so what happened to Antonio McKee?
I was going to bring McKee back into the fold, and then I just think that Antonio's beat up right now. I think he should be just a trainer and manage his fighters and all that kind of stuff. I don't really think that he's really into the fighting stuff anymore. He just backed out of the fight with Aoki. I don't know, like I said, I really like Antonio, but at the same time I don't see him fighting in the MFC ever again. Yeah.
And so the last title holder, who I think is the stud of the roster, is Ryan Jimmo. But we heard on an earlier interview today that Dwayne Lewis might not fight again. I don't know if Emmanuel Newton was too thrilled to have the shot against him in the last show. I'm not sure whether he's injured or what. Like, what's lined up for him next? Is there anything yet?
For
a future title shot, like
for Jimmo?
For Jimmo,
yeah. Jimmo's still with, he's with the MFC, and his ranking in the world right now, he's top 25 in the world, and that's one thing people are very twisted about in the MMA business. You look at our roster of guys, we have so many guys that are in the top 50 in the world now in every division, and I'm not going to stop with that anymore. I'm going to escalate that immensely coming into 2012 and the end of 2011, and I'm looking for those type of fighters to be in our organization. That's what brings it validity, that's what gives it merit, and that's what I have to do. I have to do that.
Yeah. So no names for the light heavyweight division at this time?
I'm working on lots of them right now. I want to get Emmanuel Newton back in the fold. He's 33rd in the world right now at 205. I let him go right now to another organization prior to re-signing him again. So we'll see what happens with that fight with him and that. And then I imagine he'll do well. And then I'm working on right now too, fighting, re-signing JT Money.
Oh yeah.
And the one he just smashed Kang tonight.
Oh yeah.
So he asked me too before he went and did the fight. He goes, if I smash Kang, will you take me back in the MFC? And my phone was like ting 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 ting. It was just lighting up, and people told me he beat him in like 2.5 minutes.
He's been impressive.
He's been very impressive, and like he did. The only problem he had in the MFC was I put him with Tala's Ladies, and Tala's Ladies just submitted him easy. But outside of that, every other fight I've ever seen him in the MFC or outside the MFC, he's looked really good.
Yeah. And what's the status for Talis Ladies? Was his contract done, or?
Yeah, his contract's done, and now, Ed Soares and I have been going back and forth about doing stuff with him. I was really upset that he lost to Matt Horowitz, and Matt's a good fighter and stuff, yeah. But I don't know, it bothered me because I thought Talis was such on another level above him, and I watched the fight and he gassed out in the fight, and that's kind of stopped me from re-signing him. Yeah,
I gotta agree with that. Now to get on to the more litigious side of MMA here, there's been a lot of rumors floating around, and maybe you can straighten them out. I guess first, the big rumor is that UFC is going to be suing Maximum Fighting Championship. Is that true?
It's not that they're suing. They're inquiring about some things with us. They've never threatened to sue us. At the same time they want some things changed in our organization, and I really have a hard time taking direction from them. Like I said, they're the 5,000-pound gorilla. I have the utmost respect for them. They're doing great. But there's a point in a relationship where you kind of get a little bit upset with things. And I'm at that point now because I understand that they're the best organization in the world. I know there's no one ever going to catch them. At the same time I've always looked at ourselves as boutique MMA.
Yeah, that's
and we're they're the Rolex, we're the Breitling. We understand that they're so great and so big, but at the same time we've always created our own identity with the Maximum Fighting Championship. We're in a ring, they're in a cage. We want red gloves, they want black gloves. We are so fanatical about being different from them. There's no references on our website about them ever, right? It's a no-no. We do meetings with with Chevallo and Trigg, and I reiterate to them over and over again not to use their name during our production. On occasion they still drop it. I get very upset by that. I've always made my own identity, and I've always stuck to that. And they have very high-priced lawyers that I think at times they get very bored, and they want to kind of mess around with us. And like I said, people are very. I think it's it's a form of stupidity because no matter what university you went to, their lawyers, if they went to Harvard or Yale or Brown, there's no relevance to that because they don't understand me, right? I don't know how to do anything else. So you're dealing with a human being that I would rather be dead than broke. I would rather not do anything than if I didn't do the Maximum Fighting Championship. Yeah. I don't love MMA. I love the MFC, right? That's what people don't understand. I could care less if I ever watch their show. I watch people's shows sometimes. Sometimes I'd rather watch 2 amateur boxing kids fight than watch most of the MMA that I've seen out there lately. So you have to understand my mentality. My mentality is very different than other people that they deal with because if I'm not doing this, I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah. And they've had a history of pushing around smaller promotions, and it doesn't seem like you're going to be pushing over for them.
Yeah, I just don't see it. And I even told our lawyer the other day, if you don't feel that you have the nutsack to do this properly, I'll defend ourselves, you know, because no one can defend the MFC like me. Nobody, right? I mean, the passion. It's not even passion what I have for what it's a disease, man. I don't sleep. I don't, you know, I don't care anymore. I just don't. I don't know. It's different. It's different mentality, and that's. I mean, most people that know me know that it's for real. It's not.
It is for real.
It's not. It's not an act. It's not a. It's not a thing. You know, one day when we're sitting here 20 years from now, and I'm the legitimate, you know, #2 in the world. I even think now with the mindset that I have that I easily can be the #2 in the world, you know. And the funny part is I never pick a fight with them. I don't want to be like them. I don't emulate myself like them. Listen, I love to swear. Okay. I love to swear. Now the funny part is, you ever hear me swear in an interview? Ever? Never. You know why? Because people want to then see that I'm trying to emulate him. I thought to myself is, I swear in a context 10 times nicer than he does, right? But I never do because I don't want people to compare me, because I have the utmost respect for him. At the same time as I have my own identity. I've always been different than DW. I've never been the same as him. I've always been different, right? We're very different. I'm extremely, you know, the difference is, you know, it's huge. There's a gigantic difference.
Yeah. So the last two litigious things I'd like to talk about are Jesse Juarez and Ryan Ford. Now, you know, Jesse Juarez has been, you know, very vocal about the injuries sustained, and
100%. He has sustained injuries in our organization. His insurance was in Canada. He was notified of that. Listen, man. We've been in the business 11 years. Have you ever heard of one case of this in 11 years? A fighter ever talking about this? I call it the Eric Pele rule. What happened was when Eric Pele came in the Maximum Fighting Championship many years ago, I didn't have the proper insurance for fighters. I paid out of pocket, out of my own money when I was with HDNet, to pay for his injuries for his hand. And I thought to myself, that's the stupidest thing, right? I make a lot of mistakes, man, and my mistakes are not in it. They come with a price tag. So I knew right away that, okay, how do I fix this problem? I fixed it. I get proper insurance for fighters, not just for the night of the fight, for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks after the fights. I got insurance for them as well, and that's one thing that I did. And what happened was Jesse Juarez, he's a very strange individual, right? I think first of all, he's sour that he lost. He wanted to go home. And he had the right to stay here. I did it with Solomon Hutchinson.
I know. I actually, I would like to interrupt you there. You know, I was told by a friend of yours that you actually stayed with Solomon Hutchinson, with, you know, through the hospital overnight.
Correct.
And I also know, you know, firsthand that you saved 5 fights on a friend's show tonight by helping him get medical insurance.
Yeah, but you can't tell people that, Keith, because then they think that. You know the funny part is, there's lots of people that even have shows now that I drove, you know, back in the day before I was popular and semi-famous and have a little money now. I would go drive on my own dime to help them set up their ring and cage. No, I'm not saying I was like direct. I was carrying the wood over to put together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people don't bring that up. And then I used to go and the kid would say, hey, you know, Mr. Pavelich, can you corner me? And I'd put a towel around my neck and I'd corner the kid, because was another thing that most people don't know about, right, is that I was a very high-level trainer for mixed martial arts for a long time. So, you know, I did all those type of things. Listen, man, I cleaned the floor. I cleaned the dishes. You know, there's nothing flashy, man. You know, that's just the way it was. And I'm going to be like that for the next 50 years.
But someone tells me you don't like showing the nice side in public a lot of times.
It's not even that. It's my friend. Like, I help everybody. You know, that's why people call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, they're like, hey, Mark, we need to get... I always help everybody. I don't even know half the people. 90% of the people, I don't even know who they are. They call my office at 2 o'clock in the morning. They know I'm up. They're like, hey, we need help with this. We don't know how to do this thing. I help everybody. My wife says I'm crazy to do that, right? Because people don't appreciate it. People don't care. People don't acknowledge it. And I don't expect anybody to make a statue of me. It's not going to happen. And that's just the way it is.
So, and lastly, we got Ryan Ford. He broke the contract with you. He had 2 fights left.
100%.
And you joined a rival. What's the status there? I know before you went, you told me you were going for an injunction, and that didn't work. And what's up now?
Because we're in Canada, right? And in Canada, we're a very sympathetic country. I love Canada, but we're very sympathetic, and it's very hard to get an injunction against someone in Canada. Very easy in the United States. Very hard in Canada. That's something that people need to go do some research on. And you know, we're suing him. We're suing the clown show that he fights for, and that's it. Like, you know, it's funny. Even the smallest show in the world or the biggest show in the world, I honor people's contracts. If the fighter's with the smallest show in the world and he's under contract, I don't mess with it. I wait till it expires or it goes over, then I'll sign him after that. I don't try to conflict with people. And the bigger shows in the world do it that way. these fly-by-night promoters that he's fighting for now, that's what they do. They want to be like that, and that's their thing. But like I said, you know, keep this tape because, you know, a year from now, 2 years from now, they won't be in this business. You know, the people that they took over from too, I said the same thing about them prior to them. They were calling out the MFC, doing stupid stuff, and what happened, right? Yeah. They're not here anymore, and those idiots won't be here either, right? And that's what we're at in this business, right? When I booked the date for our show, and they booked on the same day, you know, and I thought to myself, that's just stupid, you know. There's no logic in it. Not even if you're in the MMA. If you're really in the MMA business, you just wouldn't do that.
Yeah. And yeah, 2 shows on the same night. Yeah.
No logic to it. But I'm not even mad at them anymore. I just know that they're, you know, every Halloween I add a new tombstone to the front of my lawn, and theirs will be there. It will either be this October or the October after, but their tombstone will be there, and I'll take a picture with it in front of everybody like I have everybody else's on there. And the reason is because people don't want to build their business, they don't want to grow it, they don't want to sacrifice, and that's why I tell everybody, man, you got to sacrifice to get to this level. And be careful what you sacrifice, you know, because you might sacrifice things that you might miss one day and never get back.
Yeah. Well, on June 10th, you know, we got a great card coming up for MFC 30. You got the 2, you know, main event, semi-main event. You got Diego Lima. You know, he's a great up-and-comer. You got Curtis DeMars, really tough guy. I know you love.
Give him love, man. Like,
yeah.
Listen, you know what's funny? Let's just watch MMA we don't want to watch anymore. I'm obsessed with watching Curtis DeMars fight now. You know, and he's from Manitoba.
Yeah.
Your place, and it's weird because people are very delusional on what to watch in MMA, and I'm like, I want to watch him fight, like every time.
He's always has great fights, and I'm sure he's going to put another one on. Let's hope he gets a win on June the 10th.
Listen, I think everybody wants to see him win, man. You know, and I can't say I want to see. You know, Robert Washington's a great fighter too. But what I'm saying is the amount of emails I receive from people going, they just want to see him win, man, because he is that good.
Yeah. I hope to see him win. So last question here for our fireside chat. Will Top MMA News be in the audience there?
Yeah, I think my wife is like probably the brains behind the Maximum Fighting Championship, and she says that sometimes I do things because I fight the wrong fight sometimes. So she even said that, you know, when we request an interview, you know, she said, Mark, you know, you have to go over certain things, you know, and like I said, your website does very well, and it does well for a reason, because you do sacrifice away from your family and time away and come to, you know, Fort McMurray, right? So that to me, that's what I have respect with people. I find, you know, I get very excited about that type of stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate your time. 1:30 in the morning on a Saturday. Thank you very much, and best of luck on the 10th.
Thank you very much.